The Grey, 2011 film starring Liam Neeson. And it seems that for the last 20 years, Liam Neeson has mostly been in silly action movies, becoming almost a second Bruce Willis in that regard, which is a huge waste of his talents as an actor. Good news then, this is a notable exception from this rule. I would describe The Grey as a psychological drama disguised as a survival film. So Neeson plays a man who works in deep Alaska, is hired by a petroleum company to protect other employees at an oil rig from wildlife, most notably wolves. We meet him on the eve of a flight that takes a lot of the personnel back to civilization for an off period. However, due to bad weather, the plane quickly crashes, and a small group of survivors, including Liam Neeson's character, is forced to find their way out of the situation against the cold, the wind, the darkness of the Alaskan nights, and again the wolves. Apparently, the survivors have crashed close to a wolf den, which means that the pack will hunt them down no matter what to protect their territory. So on the surface, as I said, it is a survival film. We see the characters deal with the practical aspects of their escape from the crash site, setting up the campfire, scaring off wolves, securing food, and this part is done rather well. However, the true themes of the film for me are lying underneath this, because this situation is really used to show the different ways of dealing with not just hardships, but very directly death. The movie examines the various reactions that the characters have to the death of others around them, but also, even more importantly, towards their own. Because it is a hopeless predicament in which they find themselves in, without much of a chance of survival for any of the group. What they do and how they think in this situation, with the almost certain realization of death creeping around the corner, that's the main theme of the film. So we get to see the determination and hope against all odds. We get to see the denial and coping with humor. We also see resignation and straight up surrender. And this aspect of the film I enjoyed even more than the surface story. I think the reason why it works are the script and the performances. Both are not really flashy, but work in their subtle, cold, subdued way. And in this way, they fit the tone of the movie overall, because the cinematography and music give a very strong impression of this desolate winter wasteland, devoid of any humanity, aside, of course, from the group of survivors. And as a result of the combination of all those factors, the movie is weirdly pleasant and stressful at the same time to watch, but in a good way. At times, it reminded me of The Revenant, which of course came a few years after The Grey. Again, I mean that as a compliment, despite The Revenant being a more technically impressive film for sure. This one has a more gripping story, more humanity, thanks to actual interactions between the characters throughout the film. Because that's what The Grey really is at the end of the day, an examination of humanity in a place where humanity ends, both geographically and philosophically. It's a solid film.